It was a Wednesday, middle of the week, middle of the month, middle of a marriage I thought had simply hit a few potholes. But that night, something small, insignificant, really flipped the entire table over. Ashley had gone to bed early, claimed she was tired from work. And me? I stayed up. Just another silent evening on opposite ends of the couch, trading eye contact for blue light. She mumbled a good night, kissed my forehead like a nurse clocking out of a 12-hour shift, and disappeared upstairs. The silence that followed was loaded. I sat in that dim-lit living room, trying to force myself to care about the game on TV. But I wasn't watching. I was thinking about us, about how quiet she'd become, about how long it had been since she looked at me like she used to, like I was hers. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe some part of me knew before the facts did. I picked up her laptop. She always left it lying around like it owed her money. Nothing locked. No passwords. Just trust, or arrogance, depending on how you look at it. I didn't go digging for anything. Not really. I just opened the browser. And there it was. One tab. Still open. A simple little search box with a phrase burned into it. How to marry a lover. It hit me like a whisper you somehow feel instead of hear. Not how to fix a marriage. Not couples therapy near me. Not even how to leave your husband. No. Just straight to how to marry a lover. And suddenly, the weight of everything I hadn't been seeing became crystal clear. The makeup she wore now just to go to the grocery store. The gym membership that wasn't our idea. The new password on her phone, when for years, we didn't need any. I stared at that tab like it had personally slapped me across the face. And here's the part that surprised me most. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I didn't even flinch. I just reached for my phone, opened the Notes app, and started typing one sentence. Thank you for showing me how not to be happy. That line, it wasn't for her. It was for me. A timestamp. A boundary. A beginning. Because I knew right then and there, she wasn't just emotionally gone. She was already planning her exit. Upstairs, she stirred in the dark. Maybe she felt it too. The shift. The moment a man stops being blind. And down below, I copied everything from her search history, screenshots, tabs, even cached pages. You'd be amazed what people forget when they're busy falling in love with someone else. That laptop wasn't hers anymore. It was evidence. Funny thing about betrayal, it doesn't arrive all at once. It doesn't kick your door in with a ski mask and a crowbar. No, it trickles in. Quiet. Casual. Like a friend asking to crash on your couch for a few nights, and then never leaving. The morning after the browser tab incident, Ashley hummed in the kitchen. Hummed. Like the soundtrack of a woman who still believed she was fooling me. She poured coffee like nothing was cracked. Like she hadn't Googled how to upgrade me like some outdated operating system. Sleep okay? She asked, not looking up from the mug. I studied her face. The casual calm. The lie of normalcy wrapped in satin and caffeine. Yeah, I said. Dreamed I was falling, but I landed fine. She laughed lightly. Weird. Weird, indeed. That day, I started noticing everything. The little things. The sharp-edged, smiling little things. Like how she was always just a few seconds late responding to me, but lightning fast when her phone buzzed. Or how her wardrobe had subtly shifted. Less, let's get groceries. More, catch me staring at my reflection in the wine fridge. Then there was the cologne. Not mine. I picked up her coat from the back of a chair, something she rarely wore, and there it was. A faint scent. Woodsy, masculine, smug. Like a signature left behind on purpose. Later that night, I watched her thumb through her phone with the glow of someone being adored. Not by me. Not anymore. She smiled, small, crooked. The kind of smile that used to be mine. That's when I started copying. Quietly. No confrontation. No storming in with accusations. Just observation, collection, strategy. I backed up the browser. I duplicated her emails. I synced her calendar to mine. I even set up a private cloud folder titled Exhibit A, When Love Became Logistics. You see, Ashley was building her escape plan. But I was building a case. And no, she had no idea. That night, just before she climbed into bed, she paused in the doorway. You're quiet lately, she said. I looked up from the book I wasn't reading. I guess I've just been thinking. About what? And for a moment, I almost told her. Almost shattered the quiet glass we'd been walking on. But I didn't. I smiled. Calm. Controlled. Just life, I said. She nodded. Well, don't overthink it. And with that, she turned away, her silhouette vanishing behind the bedroom door like a magician's final trick. And me? I stayed in the dark for a while, listening, not to her breathing, but to the tap 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 of her fingers on a phone screen, laughing at someone else's message. Someone who wasn't married to her, but wanted to be. I didn't go looking for it that night. I swear. It found me. See, I wasn't the type to snoop. I didn't want to become that guy, the one pacing in slippers at 2 a.m., scrolling through his wife's texts like a detective in a bad TV drama. But when someone shows you who they are, you can either keep painting the old version or start tracing the cracks. Ashley left her tablet open on the kitchen island, face down, like a trap. Now, if you've ever seen someone flip a device screen side down after texting, you know. That's not a gesture, it's a confession in disguise. And because my hand acted before my spine could intervene, I flipped it. Unlocked. No passcode. Just a blinking notification from a messaging app one didn't recognize. New message from Loverboy Wine Glass. Lover. Boy. With a wine glass emoji. That sound you hear? That was the last little thread of denial snapping clean in half. I tapped. I shouldn't have. But I did. And there it was. The screenshot. The one that shattered the whole world I'd built with her. It was a hotel reservation, her name at the top, his card on file. A 2-night stay booked under a cutesy alias, Mr. and Mrs. Dalton. Dalton wasn't my last name. Never had been. Below that, a message. Counting down the days, my girl. Just think, no interruptions. Just us. And next year, maybe no secrets at all, winking face. There was more. Oh, there was plenty more. Dozens of messages, scrolling endlessly like a feed of delusion. Voice notes. Half-baked fantasies. Dirty jokes. Plans. He'd sent her a video walking through the hotel suite, showing her the view, calling it their future. She replied with a photo of her in my bathrobe, on our bed, saying she was practicing being a wife who knew how to come home right. The worst part? She said she was at therapy that night, that she needed space to work through her emotions. Yeah, I bet she was working something. I didn't throw the tablet, didn't scream, didn't march upstairs and wake her like some spurned Shakespearean husband. I took a breath, a long one, deep, controlled, and I copied it all. Screenshots, screen recordings, every message, every timestamp, every emoji. Then I opened a fresh document. No title, just a blinking cursor. And I typed, "Thank you for showing me how not to be happy." That line again. The one I wrote the night I found the browser tab. This time, I pasted the messages right under it, one after the other. No edits, no commentary, just the raw footage of a woman writing herself out of her own vows. By the time I was done, the file was 67 pages long. I saved it under the name. For when she asks why. Because eventually, she would. Upstairs, she slept like the innocent. Arms sprawled, lips slightly parted. The same woman who used to fall asleep clinging to me like I was the only safe place in a burning world. Now, she looked like a stranger wearing my wife's skin. But I didn't shake her. Didn't whisper accusations in the dark. No. She'd already told me everything she needed to. And the proof? Well, it was resting on my hard drive. Backed up in 3 locations. Sent to an email with a password only I knew. The case wasn't ready yet. But it was building. And when it hit, oh, it was going to hit like winter in the South, slow, silent, and devastating. The thing about betrayal is it doesn't end with discovery. It starts there. Because once you know, truly know, it becomes a performance. When you're suddenly cast in without auditioning. The good husband. The clueless man. The dull background noise she doesn't hear anymore. But I heard everything. I started playing my part. And planting landmines. Ashley came downstairs 2 mornings later wearing his cologne. Not mine. Not even close. It was the kind of scent that tried too hard. Sharp. Heavy. The human equivalent of a guy who double parks his Tesla just to tell you he owns one. Morning, she said, tying her robe like nothing was unraveling. Coffee's fresh. Thanks, I said, taking a sip. I didn't even flinch when the bitterness hit. She sat across from me like it was a normal Tuesday. She was scrolling through her phone again, smiling at it. Probably reading one of his good morning, beautiful texts while sitting across from the man who used to mean it. I watched her fingers dance over the screen. And then I smiled. Because I had already printed the messages. All of them. Bound them like a novel. Titled the cover. Ashley, a love story that forgot me. It was sitting in a sealed envelope. In the closet. Wrapped in gold ribbon. She'd find it eventually. Maybe on an anniversary. Or divorce court. But not yet. Timing, like revenge, is best served ice cold and gift wrapped. That week, I started becoming the man she pretended I wasn't. Cleaned the house top to bottom, fixed the leaky faucet in the kitchen, ironed her work blouses, left her a sticky note on the mirror that said, "Still rooting for us." She read it. I watched her face in the reflection of the hallway frame. She blinked. Not from tears, no. Ashley didn't cry for me anymore, but from confusion. Because the man she was cheating on, he wasn't breaking. He was thriving. That's the thing they never tell you about betrayal. If it doesn't destroy you, it redefines you. Turns the quiet ones into tacticians, the hurt into architects. And I was designing something. She slipped again on Friday. I caught a glimpse of her texting him while waiting for takeout. Said she was stuck in traffic. Claimed she was picking up food for date night. But the timestamp said she was already there. With him. Probably ordering wine and planning her freedom. So I waited. Candlelit the house. Set the table. Played her favorite playlist from the year we got married. She walked in 40 minutes late. Lipstick smudged. Hair tousled like she'd had a thrilling brush with gravity. Oh, she blinked. You did all this? I smiled, gently. Thought we could reconnect. And she, God help me, looked guilty. For a moment. Then she stepped into the kitchen and said, "I'm not really hungry." I nodded. Took a bite of the pasta I had made. Not for her. For me. Because that night, I wasn't feeding a marriage. I was feeding my patience. And right then on cue, her phone buzzed from her purse on the counter. I watched her hesitate. Just for a second. Then I said, "Go ahead. Might be important." Her eyes flicked up, studying me, as if I'd suddenly become dangerous. Good. She took the phone and left the room. And I took that moment to place the next piece of my plan. I emailed myself a voice recording I'd taken the night before, one where she was laughing into her phone, calling someone baby, telling them she couldn't wait to see them again. I saved it under a new folder on my drive. Evidence for the lawyer. Because if she wanted out, I'd open the door. But I'd hold it just wide enough for karma to sneak in behind her. There's a specific kind of quiet that only happens when someone's about to lie to your face. You know the one, just too smooth. Like a calm lake hiding the wreckage underneath. Ashley had sent the text that morning. "Let's have dinner tonight. Just us. I want to talk." No emojis. No exclamation points. Just cold punctuation and calculated calm. I already knew what was coming. The talk wasn't going to be about reconciliation. It wasn't even going to be about honesty. It was going to be the show. The one where she gets to be brave and gentle while she discards me like a winter coat in spring. I almost didn't go. But then, I remembered something. That folder on my drive? It was full now. Screenshots. Voicemails. Calendar syncs. Hotel confirmations. Enough to write a trilogy. So I replied. "Dinner sounds good." 7. I arrived on time. Which I would later realize was 5 minutes too early for the ambush. The place was one of those pretentious modern spots with no menus and way too many exposed bricks. She was already there. Hair curled. Lip gloss. Black dress. Effort. She smiled when she saw me, tight-lipped, like someone trying to enjoy a movie they already know the ending to. And across from her, in my seat, was him. Not a metaphor. Him. In the flesh. Tight black shirt, thin like he lived in a tanning bed, and a smile like he thought life owed him something. I froze. Ashley stood, ever the gracious host. "Logan," she said, as if this were a networking event. "This is Chase. I've told you about him." Yes. She had. Too often. The mentor. The creative genius. The man who gets her. "Surprise," she added, as if this whole thing were a birthday prank. I sat. Not because I wanted to. Because I refused to let them see me flinch. Chase extended his hand. Smug. Confident. "Hey, man. Great to finally meet you." I looked at it. Then looked at him. "You've got two options," he said, just loud enough for me to hear, leaning slightly forward like we were in a poker match. "Leave quietly, or face me like a man." Ashley didn't even blink. Just adjusted her napkin and sipped her wine. I smiled. Slowly. "You want your teeth whole, or in pieces?" His smirk wavered. But I didn't touch him. I didn't need to. Because the look in my eyes? It said everything. It said, "I already won. You just haven't figured it out yet." The waiter arrived before things got medieval. Ashley jumped in with a fake laugh, trying to steer the conversation back to civil. Chase ordered steak. I ordered nothing. Didn't need food. I was already full on rage, restraint, and the knowledge that this was no longer my heartbreak. This was her reckoning. She had brought me here to watch me lose, to humiliate me politely, to escort me off stage while her next act took the spotlight. But what she didn't know was that I brought something too. I slid a white envelope across the table, taped shut, thin, clean. "What's this?" she asked, tone turning sharp. I leaned back in my chair. "A thank you card. Open it later." She narrowed her eyes, but tucked it into her purse. And in that moment, I realized. She thought the story ended here. She thought this dinner was her curtain call. But I wasn't walking out. I was writing the next scene. Chase made a joke about loyalty. Ashley laughed a little too hard. And I watched them, sitting there like they were already writing joint Christmas cards. And I felt nothing. Not jealousy. Not rage. Just a calm that comes when you've already set the trap. Because that envelope, it contained a USB drive. And on that drive, every last lie, chronologically, dated, time-stamped, labeled, Ashley's Greatest Hits, Volume 1. They say curiosity killed the cat. But in this case, it just wounded a narcissist. Ashley didn't text after dinner. No follow-up. No parting shot. Not even a guilt-slicked emoji. Which told me one thing. She had opened the envelope. The next morning, I was sipping coffee on the patio of my short-term rental. No memories. No photos. Just 4 blank walls and a man who no longer wore betrayal like a weighted vest. And then it happened. Ding. Her name lit up my phone like a warning flare. "Logan, what the hell is this?" I smiled into my mug. That what wasn't innocent confusion, it was panic. The kind that comes when someone realizes the game has a scorekeeper. I didn't reply. 3 minutes later. "You had no right to dig through my private stuff." Another one, seconds later. "You don't understand. It wasn't just cheating, Chase and I. It's different." Different. Of course it was. Every affair is a love story when you're the one rewriting the script. But see, this wasn't a movie. This was evidence. And I hadn't sent it to blow things up. No, that would be easy. Predictable. I sent it to Chase. Turns out, golden boys aren't so shiny when the spotlight moves a little closer. He hadn't seen the full picture, just the flattering angles Ashley curated. But when he opened that drive, he got the director's cut. And censored. Photos. Hotel receipts. Her voice saying, "He still thinks we're just going through a rough patch. Poor baby. Poor baby." That line still echoed sometimes. Not with pain anymore, just precision. By 5 p.m., she was calling. Not texting. Calling. I let it ring. Let it vibrate on the counter until the sound became background noise. Then came the voicemail. Her voice was tight, like someone trying not to shatter. "Logan, we need to talk. Please. This isn't how I wanted it to go. I didn't mean for it to. God, just call me back." I played it twice. Once for the words. Once for the weakness. She was unraveling. Not because she lost me. No, she'd tossed me aside months ago. But because I didn't beg. Because I didn't fight. Because I handed her the mirror and walked away before she could twist the frame. The next morning, Chase showed up at her place. I didn't have to be there to know. I had someone watching now. Not a PI. Just a friend. Someone who owed me one. Someone who enjoyed cameras and poetic justice. Chase stood outside her house for 13 minutes. Didn't knock. Just paced. Holding the envelope. Eventually, he tossed it onto the porch. Then drove off. Alone. Ashley called again that night. No voicemail this time. Just silence. And me? I started writing. Not to her. To me. A letter. One I'd fold into the final document. The one I'd send her the day the divorce papers arrived. It began with, "Thank you for showing me how not to be happy." That line had followed me like a ghost. But now, it felt like prophecy. I hadn't stepped foot in the house in 2 weeks. It was still legally mine. My name on the deed. My sweat in every bolt and beam. But after everything, it felt like a museum of broken things. She texted again. "I boxed some of your stuff. You can come get it whenever." Polite. Neutral. Like she was handling a shipping return instead of a man she'd shattered. So I went. Not to reclaim my hoodies or reclaim a sense of place. I went to witness the ruins. The house was quiet when I walked in. But not empty. Her perfume still clung to the air like guilt pretending to be glamorous. That citrus vanilla scent that used to make me pull her close now smelled like a cover-up. I walked through the living room. One of our wedding photos was missing from the mantel. A small space where it used to sit like a crown. I found it later in the hall closet, face down, frame cracked. Figures. That's what betrayal does. It doesn't just burn the bridge, it salts the ashes. The boxes were stacked neatly in the entryway. On top, a note. Didn't know if you still wanted the records. You always said they calmed you down. I stared at it. Not because it was sweet, but because it was the first thing she'd written me by hand in 6 months. Even her guilt came typed. I picked up the records. My fingers brushed the sleeve of one, Coltrane's Blue Train, the one we used to play when the power went out. I laughed, because in the end, the power hadn't gone out. She'd just unplugged us on purpose. In the bedroom, the bed was made. Perfectly. Too perfectly. Tight corners. Fresh sheets. Hotel clean. The kind of tidy you only do when you're trying to erase a memory. And on the nightstand? A book. How to Love Fearlessly. Her bookmark was halfway through. I flipped to the page she'd left off. Read one line. To love someone honestly, you must first be honest with yourself. I closed it. The irony nearly knocked me over. I didn't leave a note. Didn't knock on her door, even though I knew she was home. I just carried the boxes to the car, one by one. But before I left, I slid a single envelope into the mailbox. No name on the front. No flourish. Inside? The same line. Typed. Centered. Unapologetic. Thank you for showing me how not to be happy. And beneath it? My signature. Nothing else. 3 days passed. Then the storm hit. Not outside. In my inbox. Ashley emailed me. Subject line. Please. The message. I didn't know how to tell you. I didn't know how to leave you. I didn't think it would be this hard. Chase. Left. He said I'm not who he thought I was. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I was just using him to escape. I made everything worse. And you? You never raised your voice. Never hit back. You just vanished. You said thank you for showing you how not to be happy. But Logan, you were my only happiness. I just didn't know how to hold it. I want to talk. Please. Just talk. I didn't respond. Not because I didn't feel something, but because I finally felt everything. And none of it made me want to go back. Later that night, I opened an old photo album. One from our first road trip. Smiles that used to be real. Hands that used to hold on like they meant it. Then I found a sticky note in the back cover. Her handwriting. I think we're going to make it, you and me. I closed the book and whispered to the silence. We almost did. The divorce was quiet. No screaming. No courtroom drama. No last-ditch fights over furniture. Just papers. Signed. Filed. Finished. She kept the house. I let her. Because what was I going to do? Sleep under the same roof where my love had died on a Wednesday night while she Googled how to replace me? Nah. Let her decorate the corpse. On the final call with my lawyer, he said. She didn't contest anything. You walked out clean. I hung up, then sat in my car for 10 minutes, listening to nothing. It didn't feel like freedom. It felt like air after a fire. Heavy. Burned. But air nonetheless. That night, I started packing for a trip. No destination. Just movement. My only goal? To forget what her laugh used to sound like. And to remember mine. 6 months later, I got a letter. From her. Actual paper. Ink. Mailed. No return address. Just my name. Written in cursive like it was a confession. Inside. Logan. If you're reading this, it means I'm still hoping for a version of you that might forgive me. Not for what I did, but for who I became. I don't know when I stopped being yours. Maybe the version of me you loved got tired. Maybe I did. But what I did to you was unforgivable. And yet, you walked away like a man, not a monster. I see now that you never stopped loving me. You just finally started loving yourself more. I hope someday you'll find someone who knows how to keep a good thing when they have it. I hope she laughs at your jokes. I hope she holds your hand when no one's looking. And I hope she never makes you write letters like this. Ashley, I didn't keep the letter. I didn't need to. Because her words weren't closure. They were the echo of a war she lost with herself. And me? I didn't win. I just walked away standing. That's enough. That's everything.